So, Jai Hind everybody. Today we are going to hear a professional on West Asia. Actually, if you leave the Russia-Ukraine portion, West Asia currently is, can be said to be the most tumultuous portion of the world. And there are a number of, issues which are going to have a serious impact as far as India is concerned. There are some efforts on part of USA now to proper peace between Palestinians and the basically Hamas and the Israelis, as per the initial report, which he keeps announcing. Hamas put social one doesn't know how much is there in that. That some, at least for phase one, some agreement has been reached, and the swapping of prisoners may take place on Saturday, and probably on Sunday he intends to visit that area. Now that is one portion. But then, Israel is not only involved with, Hamas or Gaza, a number of other countries, including Iran, where we have, serious economic and our otherwise strategic interest. We had the development of Chabahar, which also has under ban now, has been exemption by USA as an exception. And with Iran and these things are happening even our South corridor, which was being planned Iran, Armenia, Middle East, Europe, and so even that is under stress. So there have been some groups came about, some Turkish countries trying to move forward on that connectivity proposal. But how much and what time frame that happens, nobody knows. In summarization, the West Asia, which is actually amalgamation of large number of countries, Iran, Iraq, Oman, Saudi Arab, and Saudi Arab also has come to the Pakistan and Saudi Arab signing a defense pact. So there are a large number of countries where we have historical, cultural connect. Besides our strategic, economic, and other interests intertwined, and we have to see how do we navigate this kind of thing. So we are very fortunate to have Dr. Sreshtha Chakraborty today. We'll be dealing on the issues of West Asia and especially as to how they're going to impact India. And probably she will be also in certain way ahead, how do we navigate this issue. So before she dwells on the subject, I request Dr. Sinha to introduce this speaker.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sreshtha Chakraborty is an assistant professor of political science and international studies at the School of Law, Bennett University. She holds a PhD from the Center for West Asian Studies, School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. Her doctoral research focused on India's cultural diplomacy with the UAE and was based on extensive fieldwork in the UAE and supported by the Indian Council of Social Science Research. She has also received her MPhil from JNU and conducted the field study at West Bank and Israel. She completed her master's in international relations from Jadavpur University, as well as her BA in political science from St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. She has previously taught at OP Jindal University and Amity Law School, Noida. Her academic interest includes Gulf politics, cultural diplomacy, and India's foreign policy. She has a strong focus on qualitative and field-based research. She has published widely in peer-reviewed journals, example, Economic and Political Weekly and Sage publication, and has contributed chapters to edited volumes with the Palgrave, Bloomsbury, Pentagon Press, Taylor and Francis, and Springer Nature. She's also bringing out an edited volume with Peter Lang Publishers. Alongside her academic work, she writes regularly for national newspapers and other online platforms such as the Financial Express, Telegraph, First Post, and others. Over to you.
This is
Thank you so much, sir, for hosting me here. Thanks, Shirshi. Thanks, everyone, for coming and joining this talk. So today I'm going to talk about a very crucial area. And when we start the discussion, it's very important to know what we are supposed to talk about. So West Asia in transition. So when we talk about transitioning, that means that we are going to see it from both level, regional level and also at the world level. Also, what it means for Indian diplomacy, because we also see that in our foreign policy, there has been some changes. We have become more proactive than reactive. So it's also very important to know that what's going to be our position when it comes to our interaction with this region. Before we start, it is also very crucial to know why we call it West Asia. Why is it necessary and why we call this region West Asia, whereas most of the other, most of the people often refer to as Middle East. It's important because, first of all, it gives, when we use the word Middle East, it gives an Occidental lens to the Oriental. First. Second, it is also about Eurocentric worldview, where Europe and most of the European geographer or geostrategic strategists at that time visualized this region on the basis of their national interest. So it's important to reset that and see this region from our own perspective. It is going to benefit us. Also, it's a need to include non-Western international relations perspective in the world order. That's the discourse that most of the people are talking at this point of time. That where is non-Western IR? So there's elaborate literature on this written by Amitabh Acharya. And when we talk about West Asia, it's an effort to do that itself. Also, decolonization is important when it comes to West Asian perspective. So it's about decolonizing the entire perspective. Also, it is very important to know that this entire region is not actually a homogeneous region. As mentioned by Sir, that it's actually very difficult to define what are the boundaries of this region. Especially if I have to talk about it, it's important to know that when it comes to South Asia or Asia Pacific, Indo-Pacific, it's in that we often can relate, we can talk about countries, but when it comes to West Asia, different countries have their own way of. For this lecture's purpose, what I have done is I have divided this region. Already this region can be divided into various sub-regions. I have done that in order to understand our relations with it. So if I have to talk about sub-region, there are 5 major sub-regions that I'm going to talk about. The first is the Levant, or the Maghreb region, which literally in the Arabic means west. It has Israel, it has Palestine, it has Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. In this context, what is important to know that in this entire region, what is affecting us and how we are balancing the Israel-Palestine conflict is very essential. On one hand, we have this traditional support for the Palestinian cause. On the other hand, we have a very strong defense cooperation with Israel. And it's growing and it's strengthening. So how do we balance it first? Second is also the legacy that comes along with the Arab uprising, which culminated very recently with whatever transition has happened in Syria. So what's going to be the repercussion of that on us? Second, the most crucial region, that is the Gulf or the Arabian Peninsula. This region, we often call it extended neighborhood, economic hinterland. This is very crucial for us in terms of trade. It's very crucial for us in terms of energy security and also diaspora or the people, Indian people who are there. There are 9 million of them. And it's very important to look after their well-being in terms of how we are going to connect with them, reconnect with them. Another very crucial aspect is the Iraq-Iran, the region, which is very important and yet very sensitive for us. That is how to manage Iraq and Iran. Iran, specifically because we have a port there, Chabahar, and we have seen certain US sanctions which has been revived under Trump 2.0. So what's going to be our perspective? Turkey, a difficult yet an old historical partner. Difficult because Turkey has been having a lot of say in our internal sovereign matter when it comes to Kashmir issue. When it comes to our relation with Pakistan, Turkey has very strong. Another is very, very crucial area is the Maghreb region, where we have mostly Egypt, Sudan, Djibouti, Somalia. This area is very, very crucial for us because of our maritime security. It has Suez Canal, which has around 12% of global trade. So defining this five aspects of the region, also it is important to know when we deal with West Asia per se, if we see Ministry of External Affairs, West Asia does not include in the division Iran. We have a separate division in the ministry in which we have Pakistan, we have Afghanistan, and we have Iran. And Iran for us is a pivot to Central Asia and not per se West Asia. So it's very important to navigate this perspective. Now, when we come off this region also is very homogeneous in terms of political systems. It has monarchy, it has republics, it has presidential form of government, it has democratic form of government in Israel. So also when we give homogeneous lens to the political system there, it's a problem. Again, in terms of religion, our relations with this region is also based on how we have been establishing ties on the basis of certain religion and religious, and it cannot be neglected. So it has certain Sunni majority country, it has Shia majority country, and we have substantial amount of Sunni and Shia population in India. Also, in terms of minority Christians, they have Maronite, they have Coptic Christians, and they have the minority status there. In terms of migrants, we have 9 million diaspora. Some of them are Hindus, some of them are Buddhists. They all are there in the region. So it gives us, it compels us to think whether we should actually see this region through the lens of homogeneous. Again, if we have to talk about strategic relevance, apart from land, there are choke points in this region. Choke points which are extremely essential. Choke points like Bab el Mandab, choke points like Strait of Hormuz, or choke points like Eastern Mediterranean Sea, water bodies like Eastern Mediterranean Sea, which has become extremely important in terms of the new discovery in gas. So how do we navigate that? And if we navigate it, what should be our foreign policy? The thing is, our foreign policy is truly multi-aligned in this. We do interest-based relations with most of this regional country. More so, if we have to think, this is one region where we exert our strategic autonomy. This is where we can exert because we can do interest-based. However, I do not follow that we have just kept it transactional because we have moved beyond transactional relations. It's not just bilateral, we have strategic cooperation, we also have bilaterals, and we also have multilaterals in this region. So we cannot say it's transactional and buyer-seller relations. So that's the strategic relevance of it. Now, when we talk about why West Asia is important, now I'm giving this entire region a lens and talking that why is this region important. I put it across, as we have been talking about this region, there are 3 P's attached to it: people, proximity, and petroleum. But people, proximity, petroleum have been the most crucial aspect. However, there are also new aspects which are getting connected to it. Maritime security, counterterrorism measures, all are the renewed aspect that most of us are talking about. When it comes to trade, after China, US, we have the largest trading partner from this region, UAE, third largest trading partner, followed by Saudi Arabia. So it's not that if we are overlooking this region, then it's a problem. We have to give more importance to this region. Apart from that, when we talk of this region, it is crucial to understand this 9 billion diaspora who are there. Their well-being is important, but when there is a crisis in this situation, evacuation of this 9 billion diaspora is challenging. It's not humanly possible. So stability and maintenance of stability of this region is extremely crucial. Now, coming to this, we have to talk about what is the transitions that. So when it comes to Indian foreign policy, it is very important to know that this region is extremely important in national discourse, in foreign policy conversation. If we remove South Asia as an remove South Asia, the next discourse that we often talk about is this region. Also, when we talk about this region, it is extremely important to know that for India, this region politically is extremely important in terms of stability. But their expectation from this region is to give them new markets, because they're seeking new markets in Asia. After there is a retreat in US from in terms of economics, they are looking towards West, which is somehow complementing our Think West policy. So it's complementary in their region. So if they are looking this side, we are also looking that side. So somehow it is complementing, but its transition is also coming at a time when US is trying to retreat from this region in terms of security umbrella, providing security umbrella. However, it's very controversial as to can we say that because what has been the recent development? Can we talk about it? The thing is, in this area now there are presence of another player, the Chinese. And it is important to talk about China in this region in order to understand what does China want to gain from this region. If you ask, they have done a mediation in this region. They have economic diplomacy going on in this region. Their BRI project is stationed. They're doing a lot of infrastructure development. Is India competing? The answer is India doesn't want to be a player in this region. We want to be a stabilizer in this region. We want a stable, extended neighborhood so that we can benefit the most out of it. So what we can play as a role in the region is to actually stabilize. Also, in terms of new alignment, it's important to know there's an accord which has happened, which has changed the way we perceive this region. It was mostly about rhetoric when it came to early stance towards this region, but it's now about giving them the deliverables. If it's about giving the deliverables, Abraham Accord is very essential because this is also an accord which normalizes the relations between the Palestinians, between the Arabs and the Israelis. However, it has not gone very well with the Palestinian cause because we have seen what has happened in Gaza and so on. When it comes to the changes in the region, this region also is going through massive changes in terms of economic diversification. They realize they can't be a rentier state anymore. They have to diversify their oil economy. So they have huge amount of new projects coming up in terms of Vision 3030. Saudi Arabia has done it. Also in terms of they're also seeking new partners, security partners, because for a very long time in this region, the main security guarantor was the US. So they want a security guarantor, and US has successfully provided them that security guarantee. Now, what's the alternative is what's the transition that we look at. Also, in terms of changes, it is also important to know whenever there is a crisis in the region, India do not give an official statement. We never have. When it came to Arab uprising, did we know? We only gave it after the Arab uprising, after the removal of Mubarak. Before that, no. Have we ever spoken about anything, any conflict, given a statement? Apart from in the Gulf, travel advisories, I don't think. And that we try to keep it that way because we do not want to get involved in the regional politics. For us, it's more of a give and take, about national interest, securing our diaspora, securing our trade. Next, when it comes to this region, it is extremely important to see it through the historic lens. We cannot see this region without attaching our civilizational values. Why we are talking about it? Because it's very important to know that I'm talking about Gulf. I have some research experience in the Gulf. I've lived there. So when it comes to Gulf, there is a innate trust between the people of the Gulf, and it's there. If you go there, you can sense that they are very, very accustomed with the culture, Indian culture, language, and everything. It is also because traditionally, if you see, apart from the civilization, we have a lot of traders who were stationed in this region. And the traders were stationed because of trade, of course, but there was also this traditional economy which was there, which is the pearl diving economy, which was there before the oil exploration. Now, when it's about the pearl diving economy and pearl trading economy, Indians were the one who were the basic financiers. And also, when they used to return back with the pearls for polishing in India. So if you go to Mumbai, there's an entire Arab street in which you will see that these pearls were getting polished apart from Surat. In Surat also. Apart from that, if we have to talk about the traditional relations, this actually took a backseat after the artificial pearl industry developed in Japan. So in Japan, since there were artificial pearl industry, this industry collapsed. Another important juncture was when Britishers were colonizing this entire area. That was the time when Gulf were their protectorate. But they usually used to send Indians in the Gulf to settle and to administer. So that is also people to people connect. But when the Britishers left, India did not keep that hegemonic position in that. Rather, we went back to our prehistoric position, in which what we did is we kept it as we kept delivering them the essentials, necessity, like our goods, our food items, and all that. Now, this equation, somehow the Britishers went away, there was all oil routes, they were protecting it. All of this has happened. And then we got our independence. After independence, India took a middle ground towards this region, in which what we did was we kept a equidistance from all the politics or all the conflicts that. And it was chosen also to complement our foreign policy discourse at that time, which was mainly non-aligned in its nature. So that was the time when non-alignment was happening, and we had a lot of ideological imperatives or elements in our foreign policy in the form of anti-colonialization, colonization, decolonization, and all that. The three important aspects here, which cannot be neglected even today, are the three important positions we took then. One was our take on the Khilafat movement. It was taken to secure the Muslim sentiments in that region. Second was the establishment of Palestine. We were extremely supportive of that. And third important was our relation with Israel. We did not actually recognize, we recognized it in 1915, and it took us a long time to even have relations with 90s. In the 1992, we built that relation. Why it took so long for us is the question. Apart from that, we also cannot neglect that a lot of Indians go through this region for religious Hajj, for to Karbala, Shias go to Karbala, Sunnis go to Mecca, Medina. These are all important relations which India is sensitive and wants to protect. In this, how do we balance our relations with, so this is Arab relations, our relations with the Arab, but they also have Persians, they also have Turkey, they also have Jews. How do we navigate this? Is the important question. And very systematically, we have been doing it through balancing. Next, if we have to talk about the first, it was more inward looking, non-aligned in nature. We at that time we found a partner in this region in the form of Nasser, Nehru, camaraderie, and all that. After that, a major shift happened in the 1970s. In the 1970s, the oil was explored, and India started talking about 3 E's: economy, expats, energy. That was the 3 E that kept on lingering in our policy circle. However, in the post-Cold War, there was this transition. This is 70s to 90s. This is what exactly was happening. In the 90s, liberalization happened. Also rapid growth. We needed more energy from this region. And that was the time we actually shun our rhetoric, we shun our ideological stand. We started looking for more engagement in this region in terms of deliverables. That was the change. That was the shift that was happening. That was the time, apart from economy, trade, trade, trade and oil, we started also adding other elements to it. That is investment, that is trade. That is the time we also started talking about counterterrorism measures. We started collaborating in the maritime field. Also, if we have to talk about the recent changes that has happened, in recent changes, if we see, our posture towards this world is multi-alignment. We're talking about having different partners on the basis of our own national interest. My question, my understanding here is, now we are not just restricting ourselves to economy like oil or expats. We are also trying to diversify that basket in the form of, we are trying to include maritime cooperation. We are trying to include technology-driven cooperation. These are the aspects which are getting added. And another very crucial element that is getting attached is the use of soft power and cultural diplomacy. In the foreign policy discourse, civilizational connect, giving emphasis, moving back to our roots, has taken a very important aspect, in which talking about soft power, and indeed in this region we have a very strong soft power. I'm not talking about just Bollywood or yoga, but in terms of language, in terms of literary practices. So when people were going there and doing trade, material trade, they were also exchanging ideas. They were also exchanging a lot of cultural affinities. It has to be tapped. And why it needs to be tapped? Because we have a very strong diaspora. It can help us in our investments. So can we leverage them? The thing is, for a very long time, we understand that diaspora is extremely important. But what have you done to leverage that diaspora? This is the time you can do it by emphasizing on this aspect that we have a very strong cultural relations with them. We have people there. Also, if we talk about connectivity, it has become very, very crucial. Connectivity in terms of IMAC project that is coming. We have a great scope there in connectivity project, and in that, Gulf and like West Asia plays a very, very crucial role. If we can maintain stability in the region, we actually have a lot of scope there as well. In terms of other aspects, there is a lot happening in water conservation project, a lot happening with the Gulf region, a lot happening in terms of food security. So we have this food cooperation, this food security cooperation, which are extremely essential when it comes to this dynamics. Now, in this, what is important to understand what has been the continuity, because whenever we talk of foreign policy, we talk of two aspects, continuity and changes. So it's important to locate what are the continuity and what are the changes that has happened. Continuity, we maintain relations, which is based on shared history, culture, and other aspects. Our support for Palestinian cause has remained, but we also want to flourish our relations with Israel. When it comes to maintaining equidistance from all regional conflict, we have done it in continuation. Also, the desire to play a role in this region is still there, because whenever there is some problem there, we make an effort, but there has been a gap in this, which is very important to understand, that when it comes to high-level visit, the high-level visits in the region have only started reoccurring after Prime Minister Modi has come into power. Before that, there was a lull for a very long period. The last high-level visit that happened was during the time of Indira Gandhi. Why there was a lull for such a long period of time? Also, when it comes to oppositions, we actually do not want extremism to flourish in this region. It directly challenges us in terms of, we have seen when the terrorist organization recruits or some aspects happen, it does affect India. So Also, we want to counter terrorist activities. Also, in terms of energy security, there's a lot of things that are happening. I'll not go too much into details on that. In the renewables, renewable partnership is flourishing in, because we are also trying to diverse our energy uh, consumptions. When it comes to challenges, now challenges quite a bit. Okay? The first important challenge I feel is how do we balance the growing tension between US, Iran? How do we challenge the equation that is there between US, China, and Russia in this region? The understanding is they are also looking for realignment in this region. So when the Saudi-Iran pact is happening, it is also happening in the context of realignment that most of these Gulf states are seeking in this region. Why this realignment? Because also US has changed its policy. It is looking now more towards Indo-Pacific. It's have Asia pivot. So their interest in the region is now retreating, whereas they're enhancing their focus on Indo-Pacific or in Asia. So there is a security vacuum. And who fills up the security vacuum is question. If you see the Chinese posture in this region, it doesn't want to get involved militarily in this region. I think that China has never wanted, even if it has brokered one rapprochement we have seen in 2023, Iran, but it was done to bring stability in terms of Chinese investment in this region. China wants it to be stable. It's not because they want the conflict to end or anything. Because if it's about arms sales, China does it for everyone. It sells arms to Israel, so it's arms to Saudis. So that is the China perspective. Also, when it comes to this region, there is a lot of changes happening internally. There's also Arabization of labor forces. They want more of Arab, their own workers to get incorporated in the region. Now the question is, if that happened, does it challenge our workforce? So that is another big challenge that we have to talk about, that has to be emphasized. Also, the timing of this engagement, which India is very crucial, because the retreat is happening. China is trying to exert. Russia, on the other hand, is involved, but yet wants to secure its proxies in this region. So, where is India going to navigate? The understanding for me is, when it comes to Indian government, it always takes that balance. It does not take a direct posture, and I think that is what is benefiting us for a very, very, very long time. And this is when it comes to non-aligned, and a lot of controversy remains whether it was a right decision to go on non-aligned and so on and so forth. The understanding is non-aligned alignment works till the point we maintain that strategic autonomy in this region. If we can, then we will, because we are. I don't think that we want to get involved. Thank you so much.